Welcome to CFB Today, the number one college football show with host Alec. Let's dive right in. Today on the show, you're going to get my game picks for week 14. I'm picking every game, and I'm also going to give you where I think DJ Lagway is going to transfer to. Let's get into it and get started with the game picks. So we've got Bowling Green and UMass. UMass has been awful this year. They have not shown any. They tend to put up a lot of points, but my issue is I don't think I could trust them. They have not won a game this year, and I would feel a lot more comfortable taking Bowling Green. And I think everybody should take Bowling Green in this case. Bowling Green has a better offense than UMass. We got Bowling Green. We got the directional schools in Michigan, Eastern and Western Michigan. Rivalry game, of course. And I am going to take. I think I could trust Western more than Eastern Michigan. So give me Western Michigan to beat Eastern Michigan. Navy and Memphis. This is a big, crucial game in the American Conference. The winner of this game locks up a spot in the American Championship game. And as much as I would love to take Navy, they did look good against South Florida last week. And don't get me wrong, South Florida is a good team. But I trust Memphis more than I trust Navy. Then we go down to Friday. And we've got Utah and Kansas. Kansas has been a disappointment, in my opinion, this year. And I would feel more confident here taking. I do not have an upset yet. This is not going to change. Give me Utah. Ole Miss and Mississippi State. Now, Mississippi State's had a decently good year. And I think we all know rivalry games, weird things can happen in a rivalry game. And as much as I'd love to take Mississippi State to pull the upset, I can't see an avenue where Mississippi State does pull the upset. Then again, it is rivalry week, so weird things tend to happen. With that being said, this is my first upset of the week. Give me Mississippi State. Kent State and Northern Illinois. Kent State has been a nice surprise this year, and I think they're going to beat Northern Illinois. But again, y'all can pick against me and pick the other teams. I am going to pick Kent State. Buffalo and Ohio. Another Maction game. So we've had 3 Maction games in the first handful of games that we picked. I don't know what it is. I like both these teams. Somebody has to win. Give me the button of this game's going to be 10-10 at the end of the first half, with Buffalo getting a touchdown and a field goal, and same with Ohio. And then they're just going to, in the second half, when they come out for the second half, there's going to be a lot of scoring, and I think Ohio is going to end up winning. November, Nebraska is an issue. It's a problem. And I really want to take Nebraska in this game, but I don't think I can. I think I'm going to have to take the Hawkeyes. And so give me Iowa. We move up to Air Force and Colorado State. I picked against Air Force last week and it worked. Colorado State has not had a head coach for about 5 weeks now. And you would think that they would easily win this game. With that being said, though, again, I'm going to reiterate, it is rivalry week, which means weird things can happen. Not that this is a rivalry, but I think Colorado State is the easy pick here. Georgia Tech. This was an instant classic last year. 8 overtimes. Craziness at the end of the game. Georgia ended up winning in 8 overtimes. Georgia Tech's coming off a loss to... Georgia Tech's coming off a loss last week. Georgia is coming off a cupcake win against Charlotte. I hate to break it to everybody. Charlotte's not very good in football right now. They do have a new coaching staff, but they're not very good. With that being the case, I really want to take Georgia Tech here. I feel like if I do, and you know what? Give me the Jackets. Give me the Yellow Jackets at home in Atlanta. Senior day. I'm taking Georgia Tech. New Mexico and San Diego State. I am going to take... New Mexico's had a good year. So has San Diego State. 1 point, San Diego State only had 1 loss. This, I believe, is going to be a really good, hard-fought game. I'm going to take San Diego State. Temple and North Texas. North Texas is another team. There's a jumble of teams in the middle to top of the American that have a chance to go to the American. We talked about one of them earlier in Memphis. Now we get to North Texas. All North Texas has to do is beat Temple. Can they do that? I want to say no, but Temple's had a good year. They need one more game to go. I believe they need one more win to go bowling. Unless there's 6. I think there's actually, they might already be bowl eligible. So with that being said, I'm going to take North Texas to beat Temple. Utah State and Boise State. Boise State, their first game of the year against USF, it looked like they had no run game. And they were going to struggle this year. But as we see, as the year has gone on, Boise State's found their running game with Malik Sherrod and a couple of other running backs. And they still have their Maddox Matson. They have a couple of good wide receivers. Their defense has started to bring it on the last couple of weeks. Utah State, on the other hand, they've had an up and down season, and I don't know how. I'm 50-50. I'm leaning toward taking Boise State, Indiana, Purdue. Now, what are the chances Indiana's looking ahead to the Big Ten title game next week? Because there is still a cluster of teams behind Indiana and Ohio State in the Big Ten that if one or both, Ohio State and Indiana, lose this week, could potentially maybe jump Indiana and Ohio State and end up in the Big Ten title game. Like Michigan, who's lurking. If they beat Ohio State again for the 5th year in a row, which I surely hope doesn't happen, I'll have a video with my predictions and thoughts on the Ohio State-Michigan game on Friday afternoon. There will be no show on Thursday because it is Thanksgiving, and I hope everybody has a happy and safe Thanksgiving. But with that being said, I'm going to take Indiana. There's no way Purdue pulls the upset. Texas A&M. Texas beat a bad Arkansas team last week and just not beat them. They BTA'd them. They took out the belt and said, we're going to whip you up and down the field and score nonstop. And A&M had an easy game, too. They played Stanford and shut them out. Now is the real test. Can Texas beat Texas A&M and Austin? I am going to go, and I need to say this. Not that A&M fan, not the SEC as a whole, Paul Feinbaum, Greg McElroy, y'all need to pump the brakes. A 3-loss Texas team, even if they win the SEC, they will not get into the playoff. And I don't think they're going to have just 3 losses. Give me Texas A&M. I like Marcel Reed. I like their defense. I think Texas A&M beats Texas. The Territorial Cup wraps up our Friday game picks, and we'll go into Saturday. Arizona has been the surprise this year. Nobody, including myself, coming into the year, expected Arizona to be this good. Brett Brennan was on the hot seat for a lot of people coming into the year. I think we could take him off. Arizona State's had some good wins. They've had some bad losses. And this is going to be a good game. I would love to see an upset here. I know Arizona State's going to be favored since they're at home. But give me the Wildcats. Give me Arizona to beat Arizona State. Saturday, Houston and Baylor. Baylor is a team that's been disappointing this year. We all thought Sawyer Robertson's had a good year, but we thought Dave Aranda, since he saved his job at the end of last year, was going to come into this year with a chip on his shoulder. And Baylor was, for everybody, including me, Baylor was a sleeper to be in the Big 12 championship game in the playoff. And what happened? They've had good wins. They've had bad losses. And to me, I don't think if Dave Aranda and Baylor don't win their bowl game, I think Dave Aranda gets fired. We've already seen one big coaching move, and I'm going to talk about it on Saturday Night Lights podcast tomorrow night with Bradley. And that was James Franklin going to Virginia Tech. But not to get off course, Houston, on the other hand, I guess all it took was them finding a comparable quarterback, a Connor Wegman. And look what they've done. They've had 2 losses on the year. And I feel a lot safer in this situation taking Houston than I do Baylor. With that being said, I'm going to take Houston. And again, you can take a screenshot of all these picks at the end of the show. And on Monday, if I'm wrong about any of these, next Monday, you can let me know on Twitter, X, Instagram, YouTube. Even at me on post them on Facebook and say, oh, look at this guy. He's wrong. He got half of the picks wrong. But anyway, this one to me, this is the easiest one of the week. Give me BYU. BYU should demolish UCF. Give me BYU. Duke and Wake Forest. The Tobacco Road rivalry. Wake Forest has been a surprise this year. Can we trust them to beat Duke? I think we can. I really like what Jake Dickert's done in his first year at Wake Forest. We all thought that Wake was maybe a year or 2 away from being a serious contender in the ACC, getting 6 or 7 wins. I'm taking Wake. East Carolina and Florida Atlantic. Another American Conference battle. Neither of these teams. Well, I mean, there's a shot in the dark that East Carolina could be in the American Championship game in 2 weeks if they win this game, and there's chaos in front of them. North Texas loses, Navy loses, USF loses, and that would leave Memphis as the only set team in the American to be in the American Championship game. And the American Championship game is played at the home. It's not like the other championship games. But back to this one. East Carolina has been a surprise this year. They have been really good. And I didn't expect it with a new head coach, new players out of the portal. But and FAU's going through a transition too. Zach Kitley's in his first year. I think both these teams are going to come up in the American. I'm going to take East Carolina. K-State and Colorado. I'm going to take K-State. It's easy. Because I trust Chris Kleeman more than I trust Dion right now. And I don't know if Dion's going to be at Colorado next year. They might fire him. Pitt and Miami. November, Miami. Yes, I know they beat Virginia Tech last week, but it's still November, Miami, and both Pitt and Miami have something to play for in the ACC, and Pitt can still get into the playoff, which is weird to say. And Miami, this is the third time all year they've been outside the state of Florida. Could we see a collapse like we did last year, the last week of the season when they had to go and play at Syracuse? I think we could. With that being the case, I'm going to take the Pitt Panthers to upset Miami. Cincinnati and TCU. Cincinnati had a good game last week. TCU pulled off an upset. But let me get to Cincinnati first. Cincinnati's had a good year. Brandon Sorsby's been a real surprise. And Scott Satterfield, I reluctantly, I'm going to say this. Scott Satterfield might be the coach of the year in the Big 12. He took a Cincinnati team that was 3-9 last year. Yeah, 3-9 last year. To a team that there's a cluster in the Big 12 still that could still maybe get into the Big 12 championship game. And then you've got TCU. Sonny Dykes, everybody's talking about, Sonny Dykes is on the hot seat. This, that. Josh Huber had a decent game last week. 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. I am going to take Cincinnati. Tulane and Charlotte. I think this pick is really easy. I'm going to take Tulane. It's kind of self-explanatory. I mentioned how Charlotte, if you want to go back in the video and hear me talk about how bad Charlotte is, they played Georgia last week and lost 30. I think it was 35-3 or 42-3 to Georgia. And yes, I think we all knew that Georgia was going to beat them. It was a slobber knocker. Georgia beat them really bad. Just put it like that. I know they had a kid that was a freshman that ran for 3 touchdowns. So Charlotte does have a bright future. SMU and Cal. Now, normally we would take SMU in this situation. But SMU is on the road. They have to travel across the country from Dallas, Texas to Berkeley, California. And a team traveling from the East Coast to the West Coast usually doesn't end up well. So with that being said, I think the pick here is Cal. Give me the Golden Bears. Florida State. It's a rivalry game, and I need to speak to Florida State fans before I make my pick. Florida State fans, please in the comment section of this video, please let me know what you think about Florida State deciding to retain and keep Mike Norvell. But with that being said, I think Florida will get the win here against Florida State. USC, UCLA. I think the Nico era at UCLA is over. USC kind of still has a lot to play for even after losing to Oregon. They could sneak their way in to the Big Ten Championship game again if there's absolute chaos in front of them. And I don't trust UCLA. I do not trust UCLA to win. Give me USC. Virginia Tech. As much as I'd love to take Virginia Tech here, and yes, they did hire James Franklin to be their next head coach, I am going to take UVA, who has been a big surprise this year. Oregon and Washington. Another rivalry game. Oregon coming off a big win against USC last week. And Washington's at home. I think I'm going to take Washington to upset Oregon. West Virginia, Texas Tech. I like both these teams. West Virginia was I wanted to say sleeper into the Big 12 coming into the year. One of them, I had three. And it looks like all three are, Iowa State was my other one, by the way. All three of them are not good this year, apparently. Well, Iowa State's going to a bowl game. Baylor's probably going to a bowl game. But with that being said, I think Texas Tech, they shouldn't be looking ahead to the Big 12 championship game. But my fear is they might be. And with that being said, I could potentially see an upset here. Give me West Virginia. Central Michigan, Toledo. Central Michigan has been okay this year. Toledo has been good. And I trust a team led by a coach that's very tenured and one of the longest tenured head coaches in the MAC. Give me Toledo. Ball State, Miami of Ohio. Miami of Ohio is another team in the MAC that has a chance to go to the MAC championship game. With that being said, I'm going to take Miami. Give me Iowa State. Oklahoma State is not very good. Clemson and South Carolina. I would love to take South Carolina here, and I'm going to take Clemson. I trust Dabo right now more than I do Shane Beamer, because Shane Beamer and South Carolina lost last week. And I don't think Shane Beamer's getting fired, though. But then again, I could be wrong at the end of the day, and Clemson, South Carolina could beat Clemson for the second straight year. Now, here's the game that everybody wants. I'm going to give you a pick for this game, and then later in the week, I will give you my predictions and the score prediction for Ohio State, Michigan. Now, Michigan has been good this year. I'll give them credit. Bryce Underwood's starting to turn into the freshman quarterback we thought he was going to be when he chose Michigan over LSU, which everybody, including me at the beginning of the season, thought that was not a good choice. Now looking at it, I think it was for Bryce Underwood, because Michigan's in a lot better place right now than LSU. LSU has no president of the school, no athletic director, and no head football coach. So, but with that being, and then Ohio State has been a buzzsaw this year. 11-0, haven't lost a game. giving up less than 10 points per game on the year. Offense is rounding into form. Lamar Bo Jackson is a breakout freshman running back for Ohio State. You still got Jeremiah Smith and Cardinal Tate, which I think it's going to go uphill game time, but I think both of them end up playing this week for Ohio State. Because you saw the offense last week without him. You had a lot of Max Clear. You had Brandon Ennis, David Adolph. But with that being said, I'm going to take the Buckeyes to beat Michigan and end that 4-year losing streak. Kentucky and Louisville. Rivalry game. Kentucky's been playing better of late. Louisville has had a couple games of recent where they have laid an egg. And I might get laughed at for this, but I feel like Mark Stoops, to save his job, has to win this game. And I know it's in Louisville. It's at Louisville. But I'm going to take Kentucky. Give me the Cats. Sam Houston. And I've said this twice already. Sam Houston didn't win a game this year. So I will be going to a Sam Houston State Bearcats football game at some point during the 2027 season. Yes. I'm fully aware that it's probably going to be torture, but it's going to be a fun experience. But they play FIU this week. FIU's been surprising under their new head coach. And I am going to actually take FIU. UTEP and Delaware. Delaware needs this game to get bowl eligible. So I'm going to take Delaware to win. Marshall and Georgia Southern. I was wrong on Tony Gibson. I didn't think Tony Gibson was ready to be a head coach. And he's proved me and a lot of other people wrong. And Georgia Southern is, they've had a decent year. I do feel more confident taking Marshall. Jacksonville State and Missouri State. Jacksonville State and Western Kentucky. Give me Western Kentucky. Louisiana Tech, Missouri State. Another game where both teams have been really good this year. I am going to take Missouri State, though. I like the story they're building in Missouri with Missouri State and how good Missouri State's been in its first year in the FBS. Unfortunately, they will not be able to go to a bowl game. Georgia State and Old Dominion. Give me Old Dominion. Georgia State. Del McGee's probably gone after this year. He's probably going to get fired. Give me Old Dominion. App State and Arkansas State. Give me happy to beat Arkansas State. New Mexico State and Middle Tennessee. I really don't. This is another game that's kind of a toss-up to me, but I'm going to take New Mexico State, Syracuse, and Boston College. I'd rather take Syracuse here. Texas State, South Alabama. Give me Texas State. Louisiana and Louisiana Monroe. I like both these teams a lot, but give me Louisiana Monroe. UAB and Tulsa. Give me Tulsa's been playing really good lately. UAB just got waxed by South Florida. So I'm going to take Tulsa. Liberty and Kennesaw State. Give me Kennesaw State. LSU, Oklahoma. I think this is an easy game. Give me Oklahoma. LSU's in shambles. Garrett Nussmeier's not going to start. They've been starting Michael Van Buren. Give me Oklahoma. Rutgers and Penn State. I'd love to take Rutgers, but I like how Penn State's been playing the last couple of weeks. With that being the case, give me Penn State. Missouri and Arkansas. Missouri. Wisconsin and Minnesota. Now, if you would have asked me to pick this game 3 weeks ago, I would have taken Minnesota. No questions asked. But Wisconsin, the last 2 weeks, has pulled up 2 ranked upsets. Not saying Minnesota's ranked, which they're not. But I think Wisconsin might pull up another one. So give me Wisconsin. Troy and Southern Miss. Both Troy and Southern Miss are going bowling. And both of these teams might have an opportunity to go to the conference championship game in the Sun Belt. I really like how Troy's played this year, and same with Southern Miss. And Southern Miss has one of my favorite coaches in college football, and Charles Huff. With that being said, no bias toward anybody. If you're a Troy fan, don't feel biased. I'm going to take Southern Miss. Tennessee and Vanderbilt. I have a pick for this game, and you can see by the hat. I like how Tennessee's played the last couple weeks. They beat Florida last week. I know they lost to Oklahoma the week before that. But no, 2 weeks before that. And then they played New Mexico State and beat New Mexico State really bad. Vandy's played really good too. Vandy still has an outside. This is a Tennessee game. You can pick Tennessee. You can pick Vanderbilt. I am going to take I can't do it. I'm going to take Vanderbilt. Army and UTSA. Give me Army. James Madison and Coastal Carolina. Give me JMU. They've been a big surprise this year. Give me James Madison. Oregon State and Washington State. Yeah. This is for the Pac-2 championship. Give me Washington State. Maryland and Michigan State. I really want to take Michigan State, but they have been not very good this year. So give me Maryland. And they did make the right decision bringing back Mike Locksley. Rice and South Florida. This is an easy pick. We never pick food on this channel to win a football game. Give me South Florida. Auburn, Alabama. Now, Alabama, they've lost a couple games. How hilarious would it be if they lost to Auburn? Will they? You never know. We've seen crazier things happen in the Iron Bowl. I'm going to take a shot in the dark here and go with Auburn. North Carolina State. I don't even if North Carolina wins this game, I don't think they're going bowling unless there's not enough teams that qualify at 6-6. But it's a rivalry game. Give me North Carolina. Illinois and Northwestern. Another good game in the Big Ten. Northwestern's been a surprise this year. I am going to go with Northwestern. I picked Northwestern 2 weeks in a row. They won last week, and I'm picking them this week. UNLV and Nevada. I think this is the easiest game of the week. Give me UNLV. Fresno State, San Jose State. Both teams have been okay this year. I do feel a lot more confident, though, in Fresno State. Notre Dame and Stanford. Now, could we see Notre Dame get upset by Stanford? And I want to say this. I think Frank Reich needs to be a serious candidate for the Stanford head coaching job. The job he's done with Stanford this year, getting hired at the last minute to be their head coach. However, I'm going to take Notre Dame. I can't go against Notre Dame. And then to wrap it up, Wyoming and Hawaii. Hawaii is another team that has been very surprising this year. I'm going to go with Hawaii to beat Wyoming. There's my Week 14 picks. And now we're going to talk about DJ Lagway. And I want everybody's opinion in the comments. Do you think DJ Lagway is going to leave Florida after this year, since they're going to be looking for a new head coach? Yes or no? If you think yes, where do you think DJ Lagway is going to transfer to? I have 10 schools that I think, and I gave them a percentage chance of getting DJ Lagway. Number 10, and we're going to start with number 10, UTSA. I know DJ Lagway is not going to want to go group of 5, so I'm giving this a 10% chance. But if you look at where DJ Lagway is from, he's from the state of Texas. So it would make a lot of sense for him to go back home to Texas and play somewhere in the state of Texas. And UTSA, like I said, not saying it's going to happen, and this is only if he leaves Florida, he could stay. But UTSA is number 10. Number 9, Illinois, and I give it a 15% chance. They're losing Luke Altmaier. I have no idea who their quarterback would be going into next year. And I feel like Lagway, if he does leave Florida, he might want to go and stay in the Power 4 and make all the sense in the world to maybe go to the Big Ten and go to a school like Illinois. Number 9 is Illinois. Number 8, Vanderbilt. They're losing Diego Pavia, and I give this a 20% chance. Now, would DJ Lagway actually do this? I don't know if he would, because I feel like it might be a punch in the gut to Florida in a way, because they're going to say, oh, so Lagway, DJ enters the transfer portal, and he decides to go to Vanderbilt. Again, that's why it's only a 20% chance. Next is Tennessee at number 7. Yes, I did put the Vols on here. I give them a 35% chance to get DJ Lagway. I know you got George McIntyre that's waiting in the wings, but maybe you want to get somebody that's Lagway would be a junior next year. And if you want McIntyre to sit, and it's the same thing with Vandy. They're losing Pavia, but they're getting Jared Curtis, who's going to flip his commitment to Vanderbilt, which is a shock to me. But that's why Tennessee's only at 35%, and same with Vandy being at 20. Number 6 is SMU, and I give them a 40% chance of losing Kevin Jennings after this year, probably. And I feel like DJ Lagway would do very good in a Rhett Lashley-led offense. And I feel like they would be able to unlock DJ's full potential as a quarterback. Because Florida hasn't seemed to do that yet. Then again, he could stay at Florida and not transfer. Speaking of the Gators, at number 5 is Florida. I give them a 45% chance to retain DJ Lagway. And the reason they're not higher is because they're looking for a new head coach. And typically when a team's looking for a new head coach, usually you got guys that jump into that hop in the portal. And I guarantee you that Lagway's going to be one of the guys that jumps into the transfer portal. So, they're at number 5. Number 4, Louisville. They're losing Miller Moss. And I don't think they have a quarterback on the roster. They're 55%. DJ Lagway and a Jeff Brum offense. Sign me up. I would take it every day of the week. Every day of the week that ends in Y. I would take DJ Lagway on Louisville. At number 3, we have Miami, and I have them at 65% chance. Carson Beck's gone after this year. They're probably going to need another quarterback unless they want to start one of the other kids that's already there, and they don't want to jump into portal again and grab a quarterback. But if they do and Lagway's in there, absolutely, I could see Miami going after a quarterback. Number 2, the number 1 and 2 are both schools in the state of Texas. Number 2 is Houston, and I give them a 75% chance to get DJ Lagway. And here's why. They will need a quarterback next year. I believe Connor Wegman's a junior, and he's either a junior or a senior. And if he's a senior, he's out of eligibility, and they'll need a quarterback. And I think DJ Lagway would fit very good in a offense under Willie Fritz. And number 1, and the team I think DJ Lagway ends up going to, if he does hit the transfer portal, with an 89% chance, is Baylor. He's from the state of Texas. Makes all the sense in the world. They're losing Sawyer Robertson. I know they have Nate Bennett and a couple other fellas on the quarterback depth chart. But I could see Lagway transferring there because he wants to be in a good offense. And I'm going to throw a couple dark horses in here that are not on my list. The first dark horse is Kansas State. Do we know if how much eligibility Avery Johnson has left? I think he might have one more year. He could go pro this year. And then Kansas State would kind of be in a fold. They would be in need of a quarterback. So that's sleeper number 1. Number 2 sleeper team that could go after DJ Lagway is... I need to think of this one for a second. Penn State. I think Penn State, if they get a new coach, he's going to want his quarterback. He's going to want a quarterback maybe from the portal to let Ethan Grunkemeyer develop a little bit more. And they could be looking at DJ Lagway. And then the last one is, and this one's a little bit out there. How about DJ Lagway to a school in the ACC that might need a quarterback next year because their quarterback is going to the NFL? I'm talking about Clemson. Could Clemson be a match for a guy like DJ Lagway? I think so. But if you've enjoyed this podcast episode, please remember to like and subscribe and turn on notifications because 2026 is going to be a big year for this channel. With that being said, that'll do it for today's College Football Today episode. I will see everybody back here tomorrow night with another episode of the Saturday Night Lights podcast. Have a wonderful rest of your Monday.